Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on when you're watching this edition of Hypnosis Week Live. Yes, it's me again, Alex Williams-Smith, better known to some of you, hopefully many of you now, as Jonathan Royle, the British bad boy of hypnosis of magicalguru.com. Now, if you look below this video, you'll already see web links. You may already recognize the gentleman who is on the other side of the screen. If you don't yet recognize him and you've not encountered him yet, don't go looking at the website yet. You can do that after you've watched the interview and found out more about him. I'm going to welcome to the show. He runs a company called the UK Hypnosis Academy. We met physically in person a few years ago now, when he was running an event down in Manchester, not so far from myself in Rochdale, Greater Manchester, although we've only connected on the internet for a number of years. So please welcome to the show, Karl Smith. How are you?
Hello there. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Now, look, I ask everyone the same question right at the start, because the fact is there was a point when you were not a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist or a whatever mind coach, whatever bloody title you want to give it.
Yeah.
There was a time when you weren't. We all have a history, a background. What was your journey to get here?
So I'm from a small town called Great Yarmouth in Norfolk, and we used to have a stage hypnotist in Great Yarmouth, and his name's just eluded me. You'd know him. He's at the Blackpool.
Ken Webster.
Ken Webster. Ken Webster used to be our local stage hypnotist in Great Yarmouth, a seaside holiday town. And I'd been intrigued from about 13, 14 years old, but then it was one of those things of, that's a load of hocus pocus. Anyway, I buried it. Didn't think much of it. I'd seen Ken Webster a few times, but I'd never really gone down the route. It always played in the back of my head like, you know, there was something. I was intrigued by it, but I still didn't know enough. I was too young and I just moved away. Anyway, I joined the army. First joined the army when I was 18, and then I got unfortunately medically discharged after about a year, and then I rejoined back after when I was 21. So I joined the army, and then I spent 12 years in the military, going to all the places that your local travel agent definitely won't send you to. So I did all of those. I did all of those tours. I did all the fun tours and stuff like that. I saw the best and the worst in humanity. Then I'd had enough of the army. I'd lost too many friends. I'd lost, you know, some very good friends in VBID, vehicle-borne IEDs and bombs and stuff like that, and shot. And I just had enough. And I had a young family at the time. And so I planned my escape route, and with a lot of planning, I was able to leave the army on a Friday, and then I joined the civil police, UK police, on the 5th. So I left the army on the 3rd of September and joined the police on the 5th of September, and then started a 12-year. Yeah, so I started a career. So literally I only had one day off. I had to drive from where I was based back home, unload the car, and then reload the car, then drive off again. But the thing is that, you know, it was really nice to start a career. It was lovely. And eventually I started getting myself into policing, and went on to firearms, and then became a national firearms instructor. So I used to teach people not only how to do firearms, work with firearms, shoot guns, do the tactics that come with SWAT or firearms, UK firearms, as for those people that are American that may be watching this. I used to teach all that. But what happened was that during my career, is that I just finished duty. I've just been at a place in Suffolk. I've just been down in Suffolk working on guns that day. I drove home. Everything was fine. And then the next minute, there was a large crash out the front, big dust and shite everywhere. I run outside, and I thought initially there was a blue Mitsubishi Colt that was at about a 45 degree angle up in the air, up on a brick wall. And I run outside thinking, where I live in rural Suffolk, I thought it was an elderly person had lost control of the car. That was my first instinct. And I was still in my blacks. I was still in my, there's a picture of me. It was taken by a neighbour, and you can see me still in my police blacks. I had my black shirt on, my black trousers on. I ran outside. I got to the driver's side, and I realised it was a drink driver. And it was a young lad, and I put my hand through the window. And my first thing is, and I always tell this part because it's what caused my injuries, basically. I put my hand through, I wrapped my hand around the seatbelt, And then what I was trying to do was get him out of the car. I really wanted him to stop the wheels from going. I was shouting, I was screaming at him at the top of my voice. I made it very clear that I was a police officer. I made it very clear, stop what you're doing. He didn't, and he was agitated. He was trying to get out of the way, and I was hitting him as hard as I could. Just wouldn't do it. But me rocking the car actually caused the next set of events. And I mean, obviously the tires spinning at a rapid rate in front, on the front of the car, and everything else banging around, plus me shaking the car as well with him in it. The car fell down onto the floor. I got trapped underneath the car after I tripped over some rubble. It then dragged me backwards. And then what happened was that I tumbled a couple of times under the car, from what I remember. And then he realised he was in a cul-de-sac, and he reversed up, and he couldn't get out. And the only way that he could escape was by coming back the same way. So he hit me again. And the only thing that he did nice on the night, and I always put it as a bit of a joke, the only thing he did do nice that night was take me back home. So he'd take me on a little spin, and then he took me back home. But I was laying in the middle of the road, and I was half naked. So there is a picture of me that the neighbour took of me just like half naked, laying on the floor with a blanket and that over me, where all my clothes had been, my legs, my trousers had been ripped off, my shirt had been ripped off me as well, partially ripped off. And it went down that way. So yeah, I started on the process of trying to heal myself. So obviously I had damage to my legs, damage to my lower back. I had damage to my face, forearms, and my arms were hurt as well. But the long story short is that I came out of it, and I was just given pregabalin and tramadol to get over the pain. I was in plaster casts, so it was like, once I'd been fixed, cutting this story down there. Once I'd been given the all clear, went back home and just laid on the couch for the next probably 3 months, I think it was, chewing on tramadol and pregabalin. And what happened was that physically I started to fix, but then I started to notice that I'd become habitually caught on tramadol. And if anyone knows anything about tramadol is a horrendous drug. You can get hooked on that quite quickly, and I did, and I got hooked on it. And I was going to the doctors, arguing with the doctors, asking for more tramadol. I'd just become a drug user, to be quite honest. But anyway, I started weaning off of that after the doctors realised what had happened. So the physical pain had started to heal and sort itself out. My body had started to repair itself. However, the next phase was as I came off the tramadol, what was being suppressed by the drugs then unleashed the emotional torture, and that was what we were then going to be calling post-traumatic stress disorder. And like we know, post-traumatic stress disorder is not about one issue. It had nothing to do with just that car accident. It had to do with me being in the army, being involved in all of that stuff, being involved in policing, and all the stuff that had happened there as well. Lots of different things, an accumulation of stress factors. And with the post-trauma, that's where it popped, or that's where the noises. In 19, let me get the year right. I don't want anyone listening to this and I've got it wrong. I think it was 1997 or 98, the Omar bomb. I remember the day that happened. It was in August 1998. And when it went off, I'd just come off night shift, so I was asleep, and there was a bang on the door, bang, 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 bang. And the reason I bring that up is because of one of my, what people like to call flashbacks, and I hate that term, but I'm just going to say it for this interview. One of the reoccurring things that was happening to me every night was this bang, 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 bang. That thing from 1998 was coming back and hitting me every night. Every time I shut my eyes, bang, 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 bang. And that's what happened. So I started to take the tramadol again, because I realized if I took the tramadol, then it stopped the naughty noises. But then we realized we couldn't continue down that road. So the police force I was with gave me counselling, and that made it worse. I'm really sorry for psychotherapists out there. I don't mean to psychotherapy bash, but I'm now going to CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, or cognitive behavioural torture, as I found it.
It's mind rape. It's fucking pointless. CBT. Yeah. I call it mind rape.
Yeah, it's
talk it over again. Relive it. You'll come to terms with it. Fuck off.
Well, the way that I look at CBT is that if you put your hand on a hot plate and it's burnt, the way with CBT works is that put your hand on the hot plate again, and then you burn it again, then you burn it again, you burn it again, until all the nerve endings are burnt, until eventually you're not left with the initial burn, you're left with all the scarring and loss of everything else. And that's what CBT did with me. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that all psychotherapists and all CBT are crap, but the two that I had, I probably must have had the worst in the world. Anyway, the key thing is that is that I'd done all those, and I just thought for myself, this is the end, you know, and the thought process of just ending my life happened as well. Until one day, a fellow police officer just said, "Look, have you ever tried hypnosis?" And Ken Webster comes back in, and I went, "Fuck, no way, not a fucking chance." I said, "I've seen him, you know, I've seen Ken do this." And making shit square eggs in Great Yarmouth at the Royalty, for crying out loud. I don't need that stuff. And he, no. Let me educate you. And this is where I love sitting nowadays, about educating people and on what really hypnosis is, what pure hypnosis is. And he took me away, and that one session after he'd educated me, it took a couple of weeks for him to get round, I'll be brutally honest. But when he did get me, I went, and oh my God, the shit that came out was unbelievable. I mean, it was just stuff from my childhood. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a great childhood. It's little things, you know, little things that just, the accumulation of stress factors as you're growing older, and as you get older, you know, things that happened when I was in the army, of people that I'd lost, just the compression of shit was just flying out. And then all of a sudden the car accident came out. And the anger behind, actually the anger that then it comes back to this psychotherapy thing. This is why I'm very vocal about this, is that during when I had counselling, the therapist said to me, "Tell me how it felt to be run over." I'll just let that one roll for a bit. And I got really angry with the person, and not because I got really angry, not because of the situation, not because of being run over, but the stupidity of the question. And that was it. Why do you fucking think it feels to be run over? So anyway, the long story short is that's how I got into it. So basically I found hypnosis, and I was like a box of Pringles. And for anyone, you know, knows what Pringles are, once you start, you just can't stop. And I just literally had to keep learning. I had to keep learning. I had to keep watching. And it became a drug until eventually, you know, when I was in the police, I was still learning when I was in the police. When I met you first, up in Manchester, I was still serving, and I was running courses at the time. But
I didn't realise you were still serving then.
Yeah. I've only, what were you now, 2000? I've only been out of the police 3 years.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I dug my tunnel while I was in the police. And while I was getting a wage, I was able to dig my tunnel and build the company. But so what happened is that I initially went on a course, and I went on with a guy called Jonathan Chase, and some of you guys may know him as well. You know, he was great to me, and I think what happened is that my confidence from being in the police and being in the army as well made me stand out. And I think John liked that, because obviously, you know, it's about prestige, it's about performance, it's about confidence, it's about being able to deliver the product. And I was able to do it. I just, in my first ever lesson in hypnosis with Jonathan on one of his hypnosis weekends, I was just smashing people out. It was mental. And then so I learned with John initially, and then I started a course with, I don't even really want to mention their name, they're that bad, but I am, Chrysalis. I did a course with Chrysalis, an 11-month course with Chrysalis, and the biggest problem is that I'd learned more in 2 days with Jonathan than I did in 11 months with Chrysalis. And what happened was,
in fairness, Chrysalis, my view is that the courses are shit. But just to clarify, there's some of the people who were doing the training for Chrysalis who are actually very good, and they just unfortunately have to follow what Chrysalis tell them.
Yeah, very outdated material.
And they're doing it because they're getting a lot of students, and it's, you know, they've got mortgages and all that. But really, they themselves don't particularly think it's any good.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. And the problem was is that I'd done Jonathan's course, and because Chrysalis would teach it, and I'm a student, this isn't because I'm a competing company, I was a student, so I'm allowed this point of view, is that they basically just were teaching very outdated material, and the stuff that John had taught me in 2 days, I'd really done it. But anyway, I came away from that course, and obviously I've got my own point of view on that, and Jonathan Chase just said, you know, come help me. So I supported his courses and stuff like that, really. So yeah, I started working with John, and John gave me the opportunity to go to Las Vegas with him, and then all of a sudden I just became my own name, really, and I grew from that. So like when we're ever talking, I mean, me and Jonathan haven't spoken for years, but on the same token, I still owe a debt of gratitude for what he did to get me where I am, and I've just developed into my own hypnotist. So, you know, at the end of the day, there were good times, and now, you know, what we're looking on, since I've been in this career since 2006 was the accident, 2007, 2007 was when I first learned EFT. Was the first thing I really learned, because that's like the intro, isn't it? It's like you're learning that type of stuff, and TFT. So it must be about 2007, I think it was 2008, 2007, 2008. I started doing this, yeah. So yeah, so that's been my journey, and you know, sorry for if people have fallen asleep during that, but no,
no, I'm sure they won't be.
But that's my journey in. That's my journey, you know. And when somebody reached out, like Jonathan, like Ben, the first guy, the police officer that did it, then John reached out. They then were able to give me a journey and a new career. And I left the police and went full time as a hypnotherapist. And I do nothing but hypnosis as my career. I have no other incomes except hypnosis, and that keeps me focused to able to just make it special in my life. So I live, breathe, eat, shit it all day long. So that's my job, and I love it. So because it's safe.
Because you're now UK Hypnosis Academy, that's your company.
Yeah, and Karl Smith Hypnotherapy.
Yeah. And it has been for a few years. When I saw you in Manchester, that's several years ago now. Time just goes boom.
Yeah, that was with Chris.
You were still Hypnosis Academy, was it, UK?
Right. Me and Chris Gillies. Yeah, me and Chris. We started off, basically me and Chris started off, and then I love Chris to bits, and I know he loves me to bits, but on the same token, we were fucking dangerous with each other, because we could never achieve fuck all. We couldn't. I mean, we did, and we still have laughs now. And if he watches this, I'll just say stewardess, and he knows exactly what that is. It's to do with a scene out of Lee Evans. And it used to be something that's funny, but you know, when you got two people that are the same personalities, the business was going. I had because I'm a qualified teacher as well. I used to be a firearms instructor, so I had to be a qualified teacher, adult education, all that type of stuff. So I had a mindset of curriculums, this, that, and the other. And Chris had more of performance and stage. And so we were good mates, and it grew initially, but then all of a sudden we just parted, and it just went like that. Really, a series of events that just went wrong, and we look back now, and we've been out drinking with each other and had a laugh and a joke now. So he still keeps in contact every so often. So, but I haven't had a Christmas card off him yet, and it's what we're in April now. So no, he's good. He's all good.
Oh, please don't break up sound. We lost sound. I'm going to ring you back. Can edit it together. Go say something. No? Okay. Yeah, so if you're wondering why you've now got a static picture of Karl on screen, it's because everyone's at home for coronavirus, COVID-19 lockdown on the 1st of April 2020. Everyone's on the internet, so our internet's reduced, and we lost the picture. So I'm going to have to do the rest of this bit with sound only, and that's why you'll have a nice static picture of Karl on the screen. Yeah. He just told us, we just lost Karl before, at the point where he was telling us about his friend Chris Gillies and how Hypnosis Academy UK was going on, and then they split and went their own paths, and it morphed into UK Hypnosis Academy, which is Karl's company. And I was just about to say to him, did you know that Chris and his psychic medium mum, I originally taught them both?
No, I didn't actually. No, so that's quite interesting. No, I never knew about that. But no, I mean, I've met Chris's mum before, and I knew that she did do psychic work and stuff like that. But no, we had fun times, Chris. I think I saw him about 18 months ago now. We were in London. We met him in London. But no, it's always interesting to hear where people have learned and stuff like that. But no, we had great times, and what I wanted to do is define the company. And when I did a quick search, there was no UK Hypnosis Academy, so that's why I chose the name, really. And then because of my background of teaching and stuff like that, what we were able to do is then put curriculums around stuff, and not go too arsey with it. But what we did do then is we were able to then put curriculums in, assessments in, to make sure that we were letting people go with that had passed a satisfaction test, for want of better words, because obviously there's no legal governing bodies with clinical, medical, or legal governance within England. That's why when we see all these poor bastards joining these associations, what they don't realise is they're just paying for somebody's holiday, and they've got no legal governance or
exactly, yeah.
You know, they just don't realise it, you know, and it's a very sad thing, you know. And but anyway, you know, I've never been part of it. I've never been part of any organisation, and I seem to have thrived. So that just proves a point. But yeah, so we just put curriculums in, and the other members of my team were ex police and stuff like that, and then we all put the curriculums together, and then we were able to put the diploma together and other courses so people could go out and do it. And then eventually, as you know, we've now got about, I think it's about 15 active trainers at the moment. So we've got them in Australia, Holland, all over the United Kingdom, America. So we've got trainers going out and delivering our product as we want it, with the curriculum and an assessment, and they love it. You know, that's the key thing about it. It's got structure to it. So it keeps my idea and concepts of what I think going on in hypnosis pure, really, in the way that I like it. But they can add their flair to it, you know. So yeah, it's all good. So we've been able to build a company. So it's really good, actually. And you know, like I said, I can't remember how many countries I taught in now, but I've just cancelled Hong Kong. I was meant to be in Hong Kong this week. I was meant to be in Hong Kong this week. This week I was meant to be flying to Hong Kong, and then the following week I was in New Zealand teaching, and that just collapsed. So I've only got a couple of destinations left this year, but the rest of it will just be home. I think this year, to be quite honest, is slightly written off for most of us. If you're watching this during after COVID, but this year we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I think everyone's in that situation at the present moment in time.
It's well, I hate to use the word, and it's on every news program, but we're in unprecedented times.
Oh God, yeah. And the thing is that business is up in the air at the moment. Everyone's up in the air. I mean, you know, I've got some gracious people that have just said, look, let's just postpone. And I've had some people that have been really nasty about courses and costs and stuff like that. And you're just not seeing it at the moment, that business is, you know, everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's literally just waiting to see when the next paycheck's coming in. And I get it, I really do. But, you know, that some of the vile stuff I've been seeing and some of the vile ways that people have been acting is unprecedented. But on the same token, there's been some really gracious people out there as well. So, yeah, all's good.
You know me, I'll go where other people weren't. But I mean, on the one hand, that's kind of easy for you to say, though, isn't it? Because I'm guessing you've got police and army pensions.
I don't yet, not yet.
Do you know? I thought ill health you got it earlier.
No, I wasn't ill health off. I resigned just due to the fact I was sick and tired of bureaucracy. So I don't get my pension like everybody else. Yeah, I might be wrong on this. I think is it 65, 55?
God, they keep putting it up, don't they? I don't know. Yeah.
But I've got 24 years accumulated service on pension. But no, I don't get a pension. Oh, I haven't got a pension.
Right, okay. I thought with the whole accident.
I left the police on me. Yeah, I left on my own volition. I could have, if I wanted to, but I didn't. I enjoyed my job that much, especially on the firearms teams, that I actually wanted to get back to work. And you know, now looking back at it, I could have limped off and just said I can't work anymore. I can't carry weight. That would have worked. I could have got a pension. I could have got a pension there and then. Well,
that's not the kind of person you are.
No, I didn't want to. I wanted to carry on, and you know, and it helped with my rehabilitation, because even though I say, look, you know, it's the same as, and you know this as well as I do, mate, is that, you know, even though that initial session had done dramatic results, I still needed rehabilitation, because I'd had years and years of my body being subjected to emotional torture. You know, you can't go to war zones and not pick this shit up. You know, Kosovo in '99, when we went down the Kachanik D file, and what we saw going through what was being ethnically cleansed at that time, and you just can't forget that stuff. I mean, I don't bring it up now, but it's a case of I still needed time for my head to percolate, really, all of that stuff. That's a lovely word for today, isn't it? Percolate. Yeah. Percolate. And but I still needed time, really, to sort myself out, because even though it was a high impact, that first session with that hypnotist, that police officer at the time, I still needed to rejig my head, and being back in an environment where I knew I was safe, I had income and stuff like that was part of the rehabilitation. So while I was in the police, I was able to learn hypnosis to then self-help, But like we know, and it's the same as everybody really. We get people that join the profession, that see me traveling the world, see you doing what you're doing, and many other different people, many other trainers and stuff like that. They think, oh well, I can go do that, but actually they haven't got over their own shit. They haven't got over their own problems. They're still a walking, talking time bomb, and I probably was for the first 2 years of my career. I was still trying to find myself and find where my journey was going to lay out, and it still took time. But I'd be a lie to say that I was fixed overnight. I was dramatically better, but I still needed to rehabilitate. So being in the police, and then making a decision to leave on my own volition, that was really important to me. That was really, really important. So when I did leave, I left on my terms, and then I walked straight out and started the business. And for the first time in 24 years, Her Royal Highness Lizzie was not paying me anymore. And the money stopped, and then you start going into survival mode, and survival mode is where you then realize this shit's real, and I've got to earn and work to make more money. I'm not being paid by Her Majesty anymore. I'm now having to do it myself, and that was really, that survival instinct was the key thing for me, really, to accelerate what I was doing. I knew if I didn't work, I wasn't getting paid, and it was the first time I'd ever been self-employed in my life.
Right. Well, I mean, there's more of you start for listeners, viewers at home. Get yourself on Amazon, type in Karl Smith, that's with a K. You should guess that because it says it underneath the video. But look out, there's a book, There's No D in PTSD.
Yeah.
Which tells you more about Karl's journey, and also the journey and background of other people dealing with and overcoming what we term post-traumatic stress disorder, but as the title of the book suggests,
there is no D.
Yeah, there's no D. It's not a disorder.
Well, do you know where that came from? And I always tell this story, is that when I had post-trauma, and I didn't know a lot about it, to be brutally honest, and stiff upper lip, old boy. I mean, when the Omar bomb happened in 98, the first thing they did was give us a crate of lager to try and get over what had happened in Omar. And then in Kosovo as well, we were drinking Slivovic to try and just keep ourselves straight. And a lot of people that are ex-military that are listening to this may just go, yeah, I understood that, but, I get that because that's what happened. But when I was in search of trying to find out what post-traumatic stress is, and post-traumatic stress disorder is, I went to Wikipedia. Now, don't shoot me down. That was one of the only things that we had at the time. And, it was a reference for me, and I was stupid reading it. But one of them it said about post, it said about traumatic, then it said about stress, and then disorder, it said broken toilet door. And the toilet door was out of order and was in disorder. And I kept going, I'm not a fucking toilet door. I'm not a toilet door. And in that bit there, that statement, and I've done it.
Well, ironically, they're kind of quite close in a twisted manner, in so much as when the toilet door is broken, the toilet's probably been vandalised, so it's probably full of shit. Yeah. And when you've got shell shock or post-traumatic stress issues, you're carrying unnecessary shit around.
Yeah, unbelievably. Yeah, that's what it is, emotively and physically as well. You're carrying it around, and the thing is that was the part really, and the reason that I chose the name "There's No D in PTSD" is because I want people to reframe it, because you get therapists nowadays. And I get it, I really get it, because I work with post trauma on a daily basis now. But the key thing is that when I was first taught, the trainer that I had from that company that I mentioned earlier, that aren't going to get any more advertising, she said to me, hypnosis and post-traumatic stress, in studies, it's been shown that hypnosis makes it worse. And I was like, really? But I got here. This is where my intrigue kicked in. And I was like, no. And I sat there in the class and went, no. I said, I'm here because hypnosis did me a world of good. It really, really worked. And she went, no, there's no way, Karl. And she just would not allow me to say, look, I think you're wrong. And that's what made me want to go down the route.
That's good to say that, but that was like using regression type techniques, mental mind rape, as I call it. Of course, that's going to make you worse.
Well, regression, of course, is useless with post-traumatic stress disorder, because post-trauma is accumulation of stress factors. So it's an accumulation. You can't keep going and regressing back to the cause on every single issue, because that's torture. You don't want to be doing that. And that's why I use content-free hypnosis. That's why I drop people in as hard as I can until the subconscious, unconscious monkey brain let go of whatever it is now. And they act like a pressure cooker when they do that. And that's the key thing for me. So it's a very simple and effective technique that I just use on a daily basis on my YouTube channel. And, anyone who wants to learn about it, please just take that information and make it your own. But if you're using regression to cause with post-trauma, you have got to hit every single thing that's been stored. You're not going to collapse it in a one. That's my opinion on that. And if anyone differs with it, that's fine. Please let me know your thoughts. But on the same token, no, I don't agree with regression.
I totally agree with you. Raping people's mind, as I always refer to it, for anything, post-trauma, anything, it doesn't matter what it is, I think is frankly unethical, because it's completely unnecessary, and you can help the people quicker and without them having to go through that, reliving the traumas. Yeah,
absolutely. So but no, all's good now. So
you've got kind of. I'm not saying it. Well, there's nothing new on the planet. There's just new ways of putting things together. That's the same for all of us that teach stuff. But you formulated your approach that you call kinetic shift.
Yeah.
So can you tell the listeners a little bit about what that is, what it involves?
Okay. So kinetic shift, there is nothing new, and I will tell students this. It's the way that it's packaged and the prestige that you deliver it, and that is what kinetic shift is. Kinetic shift is, in my opinion, about getting the client into a belief system that something fundamentally is never going to happen. It's about using 7 stages of modalities, of motion, of actually like physical suggestions. It's about getting people to feel and understand that something is happening to them at this moment in time. There's confusion techniques, there's calibration through it, it's modalities, predominantly modalities. But the way that we do it with the energy side of things as well, we talk about a little bit about energy and about physics, not as in woo-woo energy, unicorn stroking. It's about talking about the build up. What I'm doing is I'm building up to the show, and then bang, hitting them with kinetic shift. And that's exactly what it is. It's all about the way that 7 elements are delivered to a client, and we get dramatic results with it. And there is no such thing as a silver bullet. Anyone listening to this, anyone who thinks there's a silver bullet to anything, look, I've used it for post-trauma. I predominantly use it for post-trauma, and that's how I came about it, is just by using 7 different techniques that I'd learned around the globe from different people, and thought, well, that'd work well with that'd work well with that, and that'd work well with that. And I'm very open and honest about that. It's about the prestige, about the delivery, and about how you do it. So that's what we teach our students, and it works very well. And at the end of the day, I thoroughly enjoyed teaching it. But like I said, there's nothing new. But on the same token, kinetic shift is fun. It is really good fun, actually, and we do get some really cracking results. And when you're watching people, they look like they're having exorcisms. It's really good fun as well. Not that in a torturous way, but it's good fun that they're having an experience. They're understanding that something fundamentally is happening in their body, and they know that something's happening. So it's a very kinesthetic approach. So it's great fun. And like I said,
the name of it, kinetic shift. Kinetic meaning movement
and energy.
Shift meaning change. A movement change.
It's about reconnecting what I would consider 3 brains are. The grey matter, the heart, and then the gut. The primary brain being the gut, in my personal opinion, and I think that's where the subconscious, unconscious lives. But the thing is that reconnecting those 3 parts up there and giving people a sensation and a feeling that something is really happening, giving them a belief. Some people may say, well, you're just being a charlatan. Well, at the end of the day, this works. Carry on taking the drugs if you don't like it.
Well, no, exactly. It's results that matter. You mentioned modalities. Now, in terms of taking the name, kinetic shift, movement, move, change, I assume one of those particular modalities is movements, like the old NLP. Where's the feeling in you? What directions it's spinning? What colour it is, and all that kind of malarkey. Changing them all, yeah.
No, there's no spinning involved in it. There's none like that. There's nothing, no spinning in that. It's about finding out what the algorithm is Because obviously the brain doesn't work in words and verbs, it works in colors and algorithms. It's about finding out what that color and algorithm is upstairs, reconnecting it with the part of the body that's being affected by it, and then doing a series of events that would rip it out, pull it out, or push it out, whatever it needs to do. But that's what we do. Yeah, so we're doing the mind body reconnect that way.
So you're mentioning pulling out, pushing out, call it what you will. Are you saying that I'm not going to say I didn't mean metaphysically, I meant metaphorically, or are you purposely intending to cause some kind of reaction as this kind of signpost to the person that something's definitely changed?
Well, the key thing is, so if we can alert a state, if we can find out exactly what it is that's playing up. So initially, the mind body detox, the mental detox that I do, which is on my YouTube channel, the mental detox video, what we do is we can ascertain what's really playing up. And this is the difference between hypnosis and psychotherapy. If you perform a hypnosis session properly, it will give you a series of shit that's been happening, but then predominantly hand you on a plate what's really going on. And my job then is to isolate that and then reconnect that with the part of the body that may well be affected by it. But that's what we do, a series of investigations of finding out where that is, and then asking the subconscious, unconscious monkey brain to let go, and then doing it that way. It can either be via a metaphorical journey or by physically watching you move your hands around to try and push it out. A little bit mesmeric, to be quite honest.
So, I mean, what I take from what you've just said is it's flexible.
Oh, yeah. We've got people. There's videos in our group, honestly, people. My job as a teacher is to give people ideas, concepts, and thoughts. Their job is to go away and make it their own. That's the way I look at it as being a trainer and a teacher. I always have done, except for when we're shooting guns. You can't do it underneath your elbow and all that type of stuff.
No, yeah, fair enough. Context comes into it.
But it's still very prescriptive. Same as when I was teaching firearms, it's very prescriptive. But after recent terrorist attacks and stuff like that, they found out that it couldn't be so prescriptive, and that's why a lot of the tactics changed. But the idea is that you move with instead of having a convoluted process that you would in the police to try and change something. What we encourage people to do is go out and really. If this is what we do, this is the foundation, bugger off and tell us how you get on with it. And we've had people doing. We had somebody do a past life regression and do kinetic shift whilst they were doing the past life regression. I've never heard of it before. I never taught it, but they did it and it worked for the client. That, this all comes down to the client, doesn't it? It's got nothing to do with us. It's to do with the client and what they do and how they perceive things and how they let go. And that's the key thing there. But we have fun with it. It's no cultism. There's some cults out there and I don't like all that shite. It's about, just making sure that the students walk away with something that they know that works, that they can make their own. And that's the key fundamental things. I was watching a video the other day of somebody doing kinetic shift and I thought, that's got nothing to do. And then I watched it and I thought, hang on a minute, I see what they've done there now. And that's great. And I don't get arsy about that stuff. I'm really into that. I'm really into people just making it their own because that's what we do. You're you, Jonathan, and I'm me, at the end of the day. We had a discussion off air, didn't we? You like certain things and I can't be arsed with it. I really can't. But we've both got a common thing with hypnosis, same as anyone who's got a disagreement in it, it doesn't really matter. We're all doing the same thing. We're working for our clients. We're not working for ourselves. It's just egos that get in the way sometimes. So, it's just different approaches. We've all got our own point of view and it's like we both agree on the hypnosis induction. That's just a myth. That's just a play act. That's just all the hypnosis induction is just the end of a process, to be quite honest, not the start of the process. You don't even need
an seeming ritualistic process that ties in with their expectations.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was talking about with kinetic shift as well. It ties in after you've built up and built up and built up, and you execute the plan. Bang! You've got that. It's the same as a hypnosis induction. The hypnosis has started way before, and their change work has started the moment they sat down. So to be quite honest, the hypnosis induction is just part of the panto. It's part of the pantomime season.
I mean, I genuinely believe, and this sounds like I'm being flippant, but anybody who's watched or listened to past episodes of this will know that I am totally consistent in stating this. It doesn't matter who I'm interviewing. Some people agree, some people disagree. That's fine. I think that, frankly, it doesn't particularly matter what you do with the client, as long as it seems as though it must, ideally, that it's a little bit out of the ordinary, things you wouldn't normally do, so that they can only rationalise it internally as they must be doing this for a reason. They clearly know what they're doing because you're the perceived authority figure and you put it across with confidence and positive intent. And so they can only come to the conclusion that you must be doing it because you've done it numerous times before and it's worked. So therefore it's going to work for them. And once they believe that, doesn't particularly matter what pantomime, ritual, or therapy you do, as long as you're not into it, it should work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was talking about with kinetic shift and stuff like that. It's about building up a belief that something fundamental is now going to change in their life, and then giving them an experience so they believe that something just happened. Now, we can sit here and talk about science, pseudoscience. We can talk about all placebos and blah, blah, blah all day long. That's a different show, that is. But on the same token, if that client walks out of there and after the pantomime, after that, what we've done, the belief ritual in some ways, if they walk out and they feel better and they are better, my job's done. Some people may call it charlatan, they may call it falsely. I don't care. My relationship is not with the people that are standing outside of the arena. It's the people that are in the arena that are working with me, and if they fundamentally change, then so be it. I mean, I've got rid of fears and phobias before by building up the belief and then saying, when I drop this pen in a moment and it hits the table, your fear and phobia are gone. But I've built it up so much that when it does happen, it happens. And that happens. And, when anyone that's new to this profession, you'll probably learn as you go along that you've got to learn consistently. And that's all I've ever done. And I've just watched how people have reacted, and it's great. I love doing it. I love doing it. I love staying fundamental. I like staying with the basics and stuff. And I also like digging around as well. That's what you've got to do. You've got to be intrigued. While you're intrigued, that's the happy thing about this job, this profession.
How much of an advantage do you think it was to you when you segued into hypnosis? The fact that you were at the time in the police, because and the context of that, is that police is a perceived authority figure. The uniform itself is hypnotic to people. Generally, it's either going to cause one or two reactions: obedience and compliance, or aggression and what's it? You'd already come from an area where arguably there were hypnotic reactions and situations occurring within your work.
No, I think with the authority, I think with the policing side of it, I'm able to walk up to anybody and start a conversation. I have one of those gifts. I've been, I was quite a shy boy when I was growing up. I didn't want to be in plays. I didn't want to be on stage. I didn't want to read, recite, and talk in front of people. I hated that. I really despised it. But I think when I joined the military, the confidence in myself, being able to stand in front of people and deliver lessons like chemical, biological, radio and nuclear bloody lessons and that type of stuff, and then joining the police and becoming a firearms instructor and having to do some really convoluted lessons on post-incident management of police firearms incidents and stuff, made me develop a skill of being able to stand and talk to anyone. And then obviously being a police officer and in the army as well, you have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to find out information, gather intelligence, find out what the local mood is, and stuff like that. And, when you've got your local pissheads outside the nightclubs and stuff like that, you've got to be able to stand there and talk like they are. You've got to be able to, and I don't like using this word, build that rapport, for want of a better word, for people that are just starting it, building that opening up that conversation. I think that dramatically helped me. Watching people's body language is huge as well. Obviously, being a police officer, you can watch people's body language, which you're continuously watching body language, which then comes into this career where I'm watching body language non-stop. So I actually thought it was intuition, but actually I just thought, well, no, this is something I've learned through years and years and years of watching people, and then being able to walk up to people and watching their demeanor, watching what their language is, and being able to talk to them in a way that's uncondescending. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm able to bring the skill pattern that I had there of being able to just stand there and just say hello to somebody in the street, because that's what people want. They want to be able to speak to people. You've got to be able to speak to people and say, look, you know, you're not doing something right here, you know, and then do it that way. So I think that all of those things there, that they, from a past life, really give me that. And I have noticed as well, anyone that comes from a service background or a uniform background does really, really well. Actually, well, everyone does really well. I should see this, but I actually found that the ones that wear uniform or have worn uniform really excel quite quickly in the classroom, because of their confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I hope that helps.
Excellent. Yeah.
Not saying that none of you, if you've never served or anything like that, I'm not saying that you won't. I'm just saying that they develop far quicker. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I suspect an element of that as well is that when you've been in those services and you have your higher ranking officer teaching you stuff, for example, or telling you stuff, giving you commands, whatever, you get used to unquestionably, I can't even say the bloody word, questionably obeying them. So there is less, there's likely to be, you know, they're going to accept, right, I'm here, I'm going to learn off Karl, and not question it because they've got that acceptance and perceive the same dynamic going on. Whereas a lot of people who haven't been through that kind of background will let their own preconceived ideas or whatever get in the way and question things a bit too much, that puts them off actually starting using it. Yeah,
and I think that's probably right, really, is that, you know, we're just used to being given instructions or giving instructions, so it's quite simple. So for us to learn, you know, I have to keep it simple, stupid, mate. I left school with no qualifications, and then I went off and then prattled around with doing an ONC in engineering and stuff, and then, to be quite honest, you know, I've never been a very academic person, but the thing is that I've learned from, I'm the type of person, if you give me something, I can pull it apart. You give me an engine, I'll pull it apart and I'll put it back together. And that's the type of way that I work as well. And I think that, you know, a lot of people that I work with in the police are very practical. It's a very pragmatic approach. I think you've got to look at it that way as well. So yeah, we're able to just dissect things and do things quite quickly. Well, I am. That's not saying everybody, of course.
Results will vary. As they say on the adverts. Okay, so just a couple more questions, because when this gets edited to the other bit, but we lost the moving picture. We will then be very close to being on our hour or just over. So beneath the video, people at home, I want to remind you again, there will be a link to Amazon for Karl's book, There's No D in PTSD. There will be a link to the UK Hypnosis Academy website, where you can find out more about Karl's courses and home study products and whatnot. There will be a link to Karl's YouTube channel, where there's, just like mine, where I give away tons of free training. So does Karl. He's the same. He gives away tons of quality content. So that link will be there for you to go and click on as well. So to kind of bring there's two final questions. The first one is this. A lot of schools of therapy poo-poo, and definitely don't. I teach people rapid inductions and stuff, but a lot of schools of therapy will go, oh, rapid inductions and all that stuff. It's not for the therapy room. That's for stage shows and all that malarkey. Now, I know you agree with me that why waste time, get the job done. But for the viewers at home, listeners, can you explain your perspective on the rapid versus slow induction debate?
Well, I think at the end of the day, when I was first taught, it took me 15 to 20 minutes to try and get hypnosis. That was the way I was taught by that very poorly equipped company that we mentioned earlier. And the thing is that they didn't teach me about the pre-talk. If your pre-talk's right and if your website's right and your pre-talk is right, as in when you're doing your beliefs and your patterns and all that lot at the very beginning, then everything will fall into place. So when you do start that induction, there's nothing stopping you looking at it the same way as Dave Ellman did. Dave Ellman used to say that all his physicians and doctors had to achieve hypnosis within 3 minutes. Now, you know that you're looking at around 30 seconds, and some people think, well, you can't achieve that in 3 minutes. Yes, you can. If you've got the ritual right at the beginning, then the hypnosis induction will happen in less than 3 minutes, without a shadow of a doubt. But for those training colleges that seem to think that rapid and instants are for the stage and for the performance, or it's for the ego of the hypnotist. It's because they're failed psychotherapists teaching a subject they don't really know. That's my opinion on that. These are people. I get slow, and I work with trauma on a daily basis. So sometimes if I've got somebody jittery, I will slow my process down to ease them in, to make them feel better. And obviously that's part of my skill set, to make people feel much more comfortable and safe. Yeah. And I will slow things down. But to say that rapids and instants are only for stage, that's just poorly trained hypnotists teaching a subject that they don't know. If you want my brutal answer on that.
No, cool. Well, I did, and I got it. Excellent. Which segues into, sorry, before I ask you the final question, there's this other debate, isn't there, you see, and I know you stay away from forums pretty much, but you do see it, and you hear it at conferences. Maybe, no, it's slightly lesser these days. People are becoming a little bit more open-minded, I think, but there used to be there still is, but a lot of the so-called general hypnotherapy register and all that bollocks, those winky-wanky societies. If you're a member of us, you can't do stage hypnosis shows. No. And I always think, hang on a minute, if it wasn't for stage hypnotists like, and I'm going to throw some names out, Orman McGill was a stage hypnotist more so than a therapist.
Yeah.
Tom Silver, who's still with us, thank God, he got over his illness. You know, stage hypnotist more so than a therapist, although he is a therapist now predominantly. Yeah. Dave Alman was a stage hypnotist.
At Vaudeville, yeah.
Yeah. Flipping Bill Boyne was a stage hypnotist. Richard Bandley used to be a stage hypnotist, for Christ's sake.
It's like I said then, Paul McKenna. You know, a lot of people forget that Paul McKenna was obviously a DJ first, then he became a stage hypnotist and went on national TV, and then he started doing therapy work. You know, my personal opinion on all of this is that I personally think that every person that becomes a therapist should at least go do a stage course or a performance course to understand. We get these people going, oh yes, but that's just street hypnosis. You can't do that. And you can't be part of our club. Well, I don't want to be part of your club because I'm watching the poor curriculums and the poor standard of people that you're pumping out. And I don't want to be anywhere near it. I want to differentiate. Yes, you've got a badge. It's the same as a rat and a squirrel, isn't it? The only difference between a rat and a squirrel is a PR company. You know, they're both the same animal. They're both the same animal. Yeah, and that's the thing. And you know, at the end of the day, they're both the same. They're both the same creature. They're just, one's got a fluffy tail. If a squirrel walks in, everyone goes, ah. If a rat walks in, everyone goes, ooh. You know, and that's the same thing about it. And the way that you got to look at it is the PR strategy behind these people. Yes, they've got momentum, and yes, they've got this, that, and the other. But they make it look like they're credible, but they're not really credible. Some of the shite they're pumping out. And when you're in and you brought it up a minute ago, the reason I'm out of all of these forums is not because I don't want to help people. My YouTube channel's got about 140 odd videos on it. I'm pumping up every day at the moment videos as best I can. But the key thing is that I'm sick and tired of people saying, have you got a script? These are people that are on these amazing registers. Have you got a script for bulimia? Has anyone got a script for post-traumatic stress disorder? Has anyone got a script? And these are people that are pumped out by credible badges. I do not want to be anything or anywhere near that shite. I don't want to be near it. And I'm not saying that everybody that's pumped out by these people, and they are pumped out, they are pumped out like a little sausage factory. Not everybody comes out like that, but I will say that 90%. The reason the reason that there's a high failure rate within hypnosis and hypnotherapy is their initial training, their confidence, and their lack of marketing skills. And these organizations do not give a shit. They don't care. And if you look at some of them, the training manager of the training company is also married to the accreditation company that's attached to that company as well. And you can go look on Companies House.
That's the majority of them, actually.
Yeah, they are. It's a business. When people realize that they're being sucked into a business, and I've never been associated with any of the badges, and I've been able to teach in over 30 countries now. I've never been associated to any of them, and I've got a full-time business. I've never been associated to them, and I get on a daily basis and doing what I'm doing. I do not need a badge with any of these companies that have got no legal, clinical, or medical governance within the United Kingdom. None. I've got no need for it. None whatsoever. And if you type in .gov, if you go to .gov, the website, especially for those in England, or go to your national, wherever you are listening to this. If you go to England and type in .gov, you come up with the UK government website. If you type in chiropractor, it will show you the criteria to become a chiropractor. If you type in osteopath, it shows you about the osteopathic register that you have to be part of. If you type in counselling, it comes up with a couple of little bits and bobs, but no governing authority. If you type in hypnosis, nothing comes up. There is no legal, clinical, or medical governance in the United Kingdom. So at the end of the day, they just waffle, and I just feel really sorry for the people that pay into it. But on the same token, if it makes them feel cozy and warm, you do that. You fill your boots.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of them perhaps think, oh, but if I'm in that, A, it's going to help me get clients, which it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No. B, they think, oh, well, I'll get cheaper insurance, which is nonsense, because you know, I get my students insurance anywhere from 40 to 70 quid a year. It depends on, well, it depends on God knows, because as you know, insurance companies are a law unto themselves. But the fact is, the point is, both you, me, can get our students insurance as cheap, sometimes cheaper than the members of these sort of societies are getting, and yet they're being told they're getting it cheaper because they're paying the yearly subs. Yeah,
and I can produce a better newsletter than some of the shite they're producing as well. My newsletters are better, and yours are as well, because they're on YouTube. You know, at the end of the day, we're giving them proof in the pudding, not these little journeys and stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's another story. That's another day.
Yeah, it is sad there's people out there that end up going spending a fortune on these because they think, well, by doing that, they're getting a badge of honour, as it were. And the truth is, the only person that means anything to when it comes down to it is themselves. It's the Wizard of Oz scene.
Yeah. It's because they've been caught. But the other thing as well is that they could save that money and put it to good use on a good fundamental Facebook ad, get more clients from that.
The marketing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like the other day I was advertising in Women's Institute. I mean, who'd have thought that? But Women's Institute asked me to do something, and I did something for their magazine, put an advert in it, and I just got inundated with all these people that had anxieties and stuff from the Women's Institute. I ended up doing a talk for them. It's just like, you know, these things happen. You know, spending your money wisely in marketing and point yourself out, then you know it happens. And it's better. There's better ways to spend your money. God bless all those people who want to do it. And in a couple of years' time, you'll realise what we're on about if you're staunchly against what I'm saying. And for those people who agree, well, you've obviously passed that threshold and realised what a load of pompous ass shit and it is. So I was going to try not to swear on this podcast, but you seem to maybe swear.
I have this effect on people, believe me. If you look at some of the past episodes, people you would not dream would ever say a swear word suddenly end up. Yeah, it's quite amusing. Yeah. So to finish up, the question I ask everyone at the end, because the beginning and end is always the same, and that is, whilst attempting, where possible, not to go over ground we've already covered, which is probably going to be a bit difficult with this one, but what would off the top of your head, your top 3 tips be to anyone listening to this who at the moment may have only read a book or watched a DVD, they've not been on any live courses, they've not done any home study proper course or anything, but they've got a desire to? What would your advice be to them to help them reach their goals, as it were?
Right. So the first thing is that if you are learning online and you've not done anything else, my opinion is, and I answer this question on a daily basis with people that contact me, is that you can learn to ride a bike by reading a book, but until you physically put it in action and refine those skills, that's going to happen. So my advice would be, the first piece of advice is that please home study. You know, please look at different approaches. You know, look at different ways. Find one that matches you. Okay. You know, for years and years, I've thought myself, I need to learn Ericksonian. And then I realized I am not an Ericksonian hypnotist. I don't want to be an Ericksonian hypnotist. I'm a very Elmanic, very direct hypnotist. So I had to learn that.
The truth is, Erickson was a shit hypnotist.
Well, he was. He used to drug people up, didn't he? Well, I said that wrong then. What he used to do is
he did drug people. I'm sorry, I'm going to put a blatant product plug here, but I have a product called the Biology of Hypnosis, and there is a roughly hour and a half section of that where I just look at the printed documented proof. And by printed documented proof, I mean things that Erickson himself wrote himself, published himself and put out, where he admits to putting people in catatonic states and then putting them in a stress position at an angle against walls and leaving them for hours because he found it amusing. He literally abused patients in psychiatric units for his own merriment and amusement. Twat.
Yeah. So you've got to find your own path. You've got to find where you want to be. Don't try to be an Ericksonian hypnotist. Sorry, so this would be my second phase, is that don't try to be Erickson. Don't try to be Gil Boyne. Don't try to be Don't try to be Paul McKenna. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Jonathan. Be you. That's what I would say, is add your own flair to it. Nobody ever taught me to be the way that I am now. I'm very direct, swear a lot, and I use the C-bomb in my sessions. And if they use it, and I don't mind, because it's whatever the client's language is. Be who you are, and C, just make sure that you're in the right place to deliver a good product. Like I said at the beginning, when I first started out, I was still looking for the golden fleece, and we still see it in today's world, where lots of therapists are coming into this profession and they are not firing on all cylinders. The cheese has slid off the cracker. They are not all well, and they shouldn't really be practicing because they're still on their journey. And just be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And I had to slap myself a couple of times and go, do you know what, mate? You're not fixed yet. You're not quite fixed. You shouldn't be doing this. And I'd hold back, and I'd come back a little bit, and I'd hold off, and until eventually I went, no, all the nightmares have gone, the crap's gone, and I was able to do it. So I would strongly suggest that you be honest with yourself. And if you're taking up being a hypnotherapist and you still feel you need work doing on you, don't be ashamed to go ask people, and ask yourself that feeling that you're going through. If you think that you've still got shit that you've got to deal with, feel that, and now that's what your client feels like when they're coming to you. So, get yourself in the right mindset, mind frame to do what you're doing. So that would be my advice.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers at home, look at the links below this video. Go and check out the free content on YouTube. Go and check out Karl's website. Go and grab a copy of his book off Amazon. And, get in contact with Karl via email, via his website, if you've got any particular questions. Don't send him emails to go, I disagree with you, because he's already told you. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Simple as. Cheers, Karl. You're an absolute star.
Thanks very much, guys. All the best guys that are listening to this, and I wish you all well.
See you next week for another edition. Well, it won't be next week because we're on lockdown. It'll be tomorrow another one goes live. All right. Catch you soon, viewers. Bye for now.